This an all-out blitz. Real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but ID gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's, our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast, brought to you by the Fan Battle Sports Network. I'm your host today, Matthew Briggs, as always, and I am joined with a special guest. But before I introduce him, let me introduce you my amazing trio, minus one. I got my little big brother, Mr. Brown Chubby Bear himself, BT. What's going on, bud?
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
And guys, if you listen to ESPN, especially back today with Indy Kalu in the trenches, you know this guy, a funny dude. We got Mr. Barry. I hope I don't mess up your last name.
It's okay if you do. Laminack. Yeah, no, that's good. That's not bad. It's not bad. When I was filling in last week on ESPN with Josh Beard, they had Spencer Tillman. Like you know, when you have rejoins, when you come back, they're like, and now back to the show with Josh Beard and Harry Lemonsack. I was like, okay, they did that on purpose, but I've had something that bad before, so.
I was like, man, I'm gonna murder this dude's name, but you know, I
Don't
always
worry
apologize before I do it.
Just call me Barry. That works.
Yeah. Well, how you doing today, Barry?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, it's football season is here. We're week 3 of college football coming up. Week 2 of the NFL. Astros are, you know, beating the A's tonight. So yeah, never better, man. Sports are popping.
All right. Well, let's jump into some NFL news. Well, as you can tell by the picture, Aaron Rodgers out for the season with a torn Achilles. Barry, you're the guest, man. I'll let you kick it off. What's your thoughts on it? Did you see the video of it? Did you see it explode?
I mean, I didn't see his Achilles explode. Did it explode? That's gross.
Yeah, they have like a close-up video where you can just see it just go.
It just popped.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was.
Nah, I didn't see that, and thankfully so. That's I got a weak stomach. I'm a wuss when it comes to that stuff. I don't need to see it, but you know what? It first and foremost, my first thought right off the rip when I was watching that was, my God, I feel so bad for the Jets fan base and the organization. And I'm not even like a Jets fan, or I don't even really care. I think that's the only word they can spell is Jets, Jets. That's all they do. But I just was like, oh, this is such a snake bit organization. Like that was such my second thought was, wow, what a Browns thing to happen to the Jets. But just felt bad for the guys, man, and that fan base, and you know, all this hype and hoopla, and 4 plays. That's what the NFL got out of that. That sucks.
Well, did you see that the guy kind of predicted it? He on Twitter he said it's raining in here with 3.5 inches of rain on the turf. Watch Aaron Rodgers blow his Achilles, and then
no way.
Yeah, he predicted it.
Now, you know what's crazy is, though, I've seen Cassie. I'm super skeptical of any of that stuff on the interwebs. I'm like, I don't believe any of that stuff, right? Because there was one dude who, you remember, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, former Astro, who was it? Dude went to San Diego and threw a no-hitter. And some guy called it on Twitter. He was like, oh, I called it. I said today he was going to throw a no-hitter. What he was doing, though, is every day he would tweet out that whoever was the starting pitcher for the Padres was going to throw a no-hitter. And then as soon as he give up a hit, he'd delete the tweet. And no one would know or see it. So when he finally got it right, it went viral. He was like, I'm the best. No, I don't believe that. So I would have to dig around and get some more proof before I believe this cat nailed that.
Was it Joe Musgrove?
Yes, that was Joe Musgrove. Well done, Googles.
Yeah. I loved him. I hate that he left, man. He was a good pitcher.
Yeah.
No. Well, BT, what do you thought?
Well, obviously, I feel for the Jets fans. I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. I feel bad for the Jets organization. They've invested a lot in Aaron Rodgers. Everyone who follows the show knows that I've been talking up about them, thinking that they are a Super Bowl contending team. And now we don't know what's going on with them. I know some people think they're going to stick with Zach, but I don't think so. I think the interesting story after you get away from what happened, which was horrible, is that what are they going to do with the quarterback position? I have a little bit of a hot take that I think that the Titans are really looking to get rid of Tannehill after his horrendous performance of 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, just horrible. But the thing is, the dude has performed in the past. He's a veteran. I still think he's better than Zach Wilson. And potentially the Titans could save $27 million if they trade to the Jets. And the Jets could have a vet that potentially could at least get him in the playoffs, which is something I don't know Zach Wilson necessarily can do. I do think they're exploring options. I think that Tannehill's an option. I think Davis Mills is even an option, frankly, because Zach Wilson is pretty much one of bottom of the barrel at this point, and they've got.
You don't think Davis Mills is bottom of the barrel? Sorry, Davis Mills. Come on, man, don't do that.
Listen, I think Davis Mills is the bottom of the barrel, but I think he's here, and I think Zach Wilson is opposite. But you get what I'm saying, because it's the camera.
Yeah.
Here's Davis Mills, and here's Zach Wilson. He's just barely better, and I think that Zach Wilson knows that he knows that he wasn't expecting to play this year. He had, and now he was going to sit down and listen and learn from Aaron Rodgers, and he's now put in a bad position now because he's put in a position where they were going to win a Super Bowl, at least try to win a Super Bowl this year, and now they're going to have to try to rely on Zach Wilson, who they took off, who the team rallied against. They had shirts made of another quarterback while he was a starting quarterback. He does not own that franchise. There's no way that they can keep him out there for the entire season.
Go ahead.
Teacher, can you call on me? I have a question.
Go ahead, Barry.
You know what? No, here's the thing. And look, I appreciate the logic. I do. But there's not one name that you can throw out there that gives this Jets team a realistic chance of making a deep playoff run. I mean, they almost made the playoffs with Zach Wilson last year, right? And everybody said, well, they're a quarterback away. And what happened was they bring in Aaron Rodgers. They revamp the entire offense. They redesign the entire offense. They basically cater the entire offense to Aaron Rodgers, who lasts 4 plays. So going out and getting another quarterback randomly, at least Zach Wilson has been in the room and saw the revamped offense built from scratch, right? Does he have the skill set to lead them to, an AFC title game? Probably not. But not a single name you could throw out there, save for Tom Brady, does at this point. I pulled up a list. Jameis Winston, Davis Mills was on the list. Carson Wentz. No thanks to any of those names. There's a reason none of them have a starting job.
But what would you do? Would you rather just start with Zach and have no chance, or have someone like Carson Wentz?
You don't have a chance with Carson Wentz. He's like, in my opinion, I mean, some people get high on some of these cats. I think I saw Trey Lance's name batted around for a second. I'm like, none of these cats are that good. Ryan Tannehill, I think, is awful. I think he's been awful for a long time, and I'm an Aggie fan. He's just an awful NFL quarterback. I don't think he gives them any better of a chance to actually make a run. At this point, I think you see what Zach Wilson can do because, I mean, let's be real. Aaron Rodgers was going to play a year or two, right? And then call it quits. So his job was to, let's see if we can groom Zach Wilson and get him ready to take over. Well, and you're going to have to deal with that for a year at least.
I mean, they are paying guys like Quinnen Williams, and there's like 4 big defensive players that they're playing. They can't just waste another year. They wasted last year with them. You want them to waste this year without even a glimmer of hope of trying to make a deep playoff run? Because at least try to get these dudes in the mode of trying to win a Super Bowl, right? They probably can't with another quarterback, but they probably can at least get to the playoffs and win a game with a game manager. Now, listen, I've been saying I hate Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback for God knows how long. Both of these guys know how much I think that he sucks. Yeah. But I'm saying that he can be a game manager. You don't ask him to do a hell of a lot. They beat the Bills. Obviously, the Bills mostly beat themselves, but they beat the Bills because Zach Wilson didn't throw a lot. They didn't ask him to throw a lot. He only made a few passes that mattered. You can ask Ryan Tannehill to do that, and he can do that a lot better than Zach Wilson. And the reason why I'm saying that is, listen, I want Tennessee to fail, but if I'm Tennessee, I'm like, let me save $27 million and get this mofo out of here at the same time, and try to put in either Malik or Levis, who they drafted, and see if one of these guys can be their quarterback.
I mean, we've seen crazier things happen in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kershaw, about time you joined us. Appreciate it, brother. What's your thoughts on this whole Aaron Rodgers debacle?
I mean, damn. I went to the restroom. I came back, and he was out the game. I'm like, damn, that was quick.
It's like a Tyson fight.
But yeah, like a Tyson fight. Yeah. Well, basically, I got a question. Is this year's Jets defense as good as the Rex Ryan's defense when they had Mark Sanchez and had a deep playoff run?
I think so.
I mean, did you see what they did to the Bills?
Yeah.
I mean,
I get that Josh Allen's a gunslinger, but still, they put themselves into position to make a lot of plays.
Okay, well,
quick side note: Jordan Whitehead made $250,000 off of Josh Allen. Just a quick point out there. He made $250,000
That's
because
crazy.
Josh Allen said I can make this throw. So 3 times.
Okay, well, all right. So if they're better or just as good, then they shouldn't waste this year. They should try to go out and find a quarterback that could get them there. I like the Ryan Tannehill idea. Or hell, go back and get Mike White. He's a backup in Miami. Go get Mike White. He played good last year for them. Get him. Anything's better than Zach Wilson at this point.
I mean, I know the Rams won on Sunday, but I mean, do you really think the Rams are a playoff contending team? You can always go get Matt Stafford.
Hey, Stetson Bennett's available now.
Yeah. So I mean,
right?
You never know.
I mean, of all the names, if that were the case and they could get Matt Stafford, to me, that would make the most sense at this point versus any of these retread names. Because, look, we see it over and over when it comes to quarterbacks and head coaches. You see these names just kind of regurgitated and they get retreaded. And there's a reason that teams give up on them. There's a reason that teams don't want to mess with that the Titans are done with Ryan Tannehill. There's a reason that the Niners were done with Trey Lance. If you can't succeed in that offense, what does that say for you? But yet he was a name I saw floated about. I'm just like, I don't know, man. If you could grab, somebody that has that experience, a guy who went to the Super Bowl less than 3 years ago, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just want to say, obviously we spent a lot of time on this topic, so I don't want to spend too much more. I just want to say, what I'm saying when I say go to get a Ryan Tannehill or someone is you're expecting a Geno Smith type of performance, someone that hasn't performed well for years in a row, but giving a new lease on life, the new situation can basically change a lot of things, and I think, look at Goff. Like, no one thought that Goff would be this.
That's a great point.
Good, right? So, you got those situations with Geno Smith and Goff where you give them just a little bit of a different situation and they seem like a whole totally new guy. And I think the Jets, what do they got to lose at this point? They've invested so much into this season. What do they have got to lose on trying to throw in all the chips and see how far they can get with another quarterback? I think they should do it.
Well, before we move to the next subject, real quick, Barry, does he come back or is he done for his career?
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he comes back.
Really?
I don't think a guy like Aaron Rodgers goes out 4 plays into leaving the team that he played his entire career with, and building up expectations of a Super Bowl in New York. To me, that's just, I would be stunned if a guy like that with that competitive nature called it quits. I mean, I know he's going to be a year older, but he also won't have a year of NFL wear and tear on his body because he won't be doing anything. So, yeah, he's a year older. I think he comes back and it might not go great and he may never be the same and he probably won't at his age.
Kind of be like a Kobe. A Kobe.
I think he gives it another go. I really do. And I would be stunned if a guy of that ilk were to just call it quits now.
All right. Well, to the next subject, kind of Texans related. TJ Watt surpasses his brother as the second fastest player to reach 80 sacks. Barry, what do you think? Is he going to beat his brother when it's said and done?
I mean, it's trending in that direction already, right? It's unbelievable. I don't have a crystal ball, but if he's already passed him as the second fastest player to reach 80. I'm a huge Mike Tomlin stan, and I love what that dude does year in and year out with his defenses and with his teams. And as long as they keep putting TJ Watt in position to be successful, which he will, because that's the kind of coach that he is, you got to feel like he's got a really good shot at it.
Yeah, I'm calling the Watt family and seeing what they put in their, like, dude, how do you create these boys? Crenshaw, what about you?
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to pass his brother. I don't think he's going to be as injured as much as JJ was in his career. I didn't really when he got picked by Pittsburgh, I didn't think he was going to be this good. I thought it was going to take some time, but this guy came out the gate rolling. I mean, what he had 3.5 sacks Sunday. I mean, they got their ass whooped, but he had a great game. I'm just thinking about what he's going to do to CJ when we play them in a couple of weeks, because that's real scary right there, man. But hey, man, it's a hell of a player, man. Like you said, what did they did to those guys when they was babies, man?
I'm telling you.
Was it breast milk, or it was something
I was
else?
just gonna say that.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, from the gate, I'm telling you. BT, I ended with you.
I agree with Crenshaw. It is mama's milk. But I'm going to say that I also agree with Crenshaw that he's going to beat his brother because of injuries. J.J. Watt said one of the reasons why he was injured so much is because he pushed himself working out, and he wanted to hit those numbers. And he said at the end of the day, he hit the numbers in terms of reps and weight, but he wasn't on the field, so it didn't do anybody any good. And I think that he taught that lesson to his brothers. And so I think that TJ Watt won't be as injured as JJ, and that's why he'll surpass his brother.
Okay. All right. Well, and I think a lot too, JJ took this team on his back. Like, I mean, that blowout against Kansas City, the 30-0, in the first half, we kept them to 13 points. And then JJ went out with a back injury, and that's when hell broke loose. So I think the Texans put too much pressure on him. And it's starting to seem like the Steelers is going to do the same thing to TJ. I mean, Kenny Pickett's not helping his cause, but it's still early. So, before we dub him the next Brock Osweiler, we'll give him a couple games. Well, guys, let's get to why we are here. Talk some Texans.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they about to stampede.
Well, guys, you have heard what me, BT, and Crenshaw had to say about this game Sunday on our recap. So, Barry, let's get what was your takeaway from this game Sunday against the Ravens?
Well, okay. It wasn't great. The outcome wasn't great. There was a ton of mistakes by a young team, but I'm not going to sit here like I would normally do, because I get in trouble a lot with Houston fans, because I think a lot of people don't understand. I am a Texans fan. I'm a Houston fan. I'm a Houston native, born and raised, but also my job as a sports journalist and a sports media guy is to be objective. This is still a bad football team, but for the first time in years, 3-4 years, I didn't hate myself as a fan and hate what I saw on Sunday. I have hated every game I've watched for years. I didn't hate this game. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty, but I was like, okay, there could be hope here. There could be hope there. You figured I was a little nervous because, CJ Stroud running for his life the entire game. I was having flashbacks. I was like, oh goodness, CJ Stroud is the black David Carr right now. That's all this is. He's just running around, falling down like a fainting goat. It's scary because this offensive line is so bad. But if that offensive line gets back and they get healthy again, They get him one more weapon, I think, at wideout. You got to feel pretty good about this. It's one day. I mean, it's one game, 1 week, but I didn't hate what I saw. And I think that's a huge step forward for a fan base that has been pretty beleaguered for a long time.
Okay. So you see promise in a young team.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots. Look, this is a team that was devoid of talent pretty much everywhere except left tackle and safety. I mean, there was nothing anywhere else on this team for a while. Then Damian Pierce showed up. Petrie has really showed out. You've gone out and got Will Anderson, who got a sack, which was great. So, and you're starting to see other guys kind of step up too. You got some veteran presence as well. Things are looking good, but it's a long way to go to getting back to a respectable team again.
Okay, and you mentioned getting some extra help and a couple moves. Well, they made a move of restructuring Jerry Hughes' contract to help with the cap space. Do you see a move happening, or is this something that needed to be? I mean, he had a pretty decent game. I mean, I know it was no sacks, but he was there.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, anytime you do a move like that, it's either just to give you some room just in case, or you've got an idea or an eye on somebody that you want to bring in to shore up something or fill in a hole, or maybe you're going to lose the guy. I mean, I saw the injury report today and I was like, do they even have this many people on the roster? These are like, was there, like, I feel like some of these names were cheerleaders. Like, I was like, what's going on here? Was that a grounds crew listed on IR? It's just, it's a mass unit after 1 week, and that's a little upsetting. That's a little scary. So I'm sure they did that because when y'all sent me the show notes for IR, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 9, 10, there's like 11 dudes on the IR. I had to even go look it up. You can only bring back 8 players max from the IR in a season.
Yep.
So some of these cats ain't coming back. So you better make some room and get some new guys signed and get some fresh bodies in here.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the injuries. What do you think is the cause? Is DeMeco practicing too hard? Is it the field? What do you think all these injuries are coming from? I mean, I know in 2017 we set the record for most players on IR, but it just seems like it's trending that way, right?
The list. Oh my God! If you you see the scroll right there. That looks like the scroll looks like somebody that, like, y'all are having a charity donation thing going, and you're raising all kinds of money. It's just it's a good thing y'all don't have to pay by the letter for the scroll. Y'all be broke. That is a lot of names,
Yeah.
Like the draft from this year when you draft.
Exactly. You're like, man, all these dudes play IR. Is that their position? No, that's not. Like, that's a lot. I don't know what it is. Is it practicing too hard? Is it a little bit of gamesmanship? Is it a little bit of let's see. We got some dudes that are kind of banged up, and we're not really feeling them. Let's throw them on the IR. I don't know. I wouldn't put anything like that past Nick Caserio, but that's a dangerous game to play because you start doing that and players leave, and you get a Mike Fiers effect going. But I don't know. Something in the water, the heat. I don't know. Maybe it's the drought. They're all their muscles are dried out. I have no idea.
That's crazy, right? Go ahead, VT. I know you all day been waiting to say something. So here's the chance.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk some stuff on the Ravens game too, but let me just say the injuries. There were some murmurs, and I kind of threw it away in my head, like talking to a few people here and there, that there were some murmurs about how hard that we were working these guys in practice. I talked to a few people here and there that they let me know a few things, and that was kind of concerning, but I really didn't think anything of it because, DeMeco just started. So, hearing anything negative about DeMeco, I was basically throwing it away. The reason why that started is because Mechie, right? Like, Mechie came back and all of a sudden he had a hamstring injury. And then you had quite a few players. I don't actually remember all the players that got hurt in the preseason, but it was like 6 dudes, and it was week after week after week after week. Now, I'm not negative on DeMeco, and I don't think necessarily this is just him playing players too hard. But I think it's also the fact that players aren't used to having this type of effort in camp. And I think that this won't necessarily be the case next year, but I think that there has to be something done in order for them to actually get conditioned before OTAs. I think that I think the whole team has to put an emphasis on year-round conditioning as opposed to just getting started in March. I think that is going to be something moving forward that I think that could be put into contracts I don't know how that actually works, but like, having some sort of off-season incentive to get conditioned before you're ready to go into March, so you don't just start like this and then get a hamstring injury. Also, just from a medical perspective, it's been over 100 degrees, and I haven't been practicing in the bubble mostly. They did today, but most of the time they haven't been. And dehydration is a cause for hamstrings. It's not just stretching. Obviously, stretching is important, but you need a lot of hydration. And I do think that perhaps they need to spend a little more time in the bubble. Now, I know they don't because it's not large enough to have all the teams there simultaneously, meaning 1s, 2s, 3s, and special teams. So maybe they rotate it, but I think they need to figure that part out, because I think part of it's hot out there. And you can't expect dudes in 100-degree. The real field has been 110 in some cases out there, and play as hard as DeMeco wants them to play in that heat, and then go out there on a regular season game and then play hard again. I think it's a little. I think they got to figure that out, because it's a little too much, literally, just for these many injuries. You cannot say it's just a coincidence. There's something else there that has to be investigated. And obviously, the season is the season what it is right now, but next year, I think they got to focus on conditioning. That has to start prior to March.
And a lot of players are upset about the field conditions, about the turf. That could be a cause too, because going from grass to practice to turf to grass, I mean, it's not a very safe wear and tear on their body. So, VT, I know you had something to say about the Ravens. Why don't you say it before I kick it off to Chris?
Okay, so Barry, I agree with you that the O-line is not good, but here's what I'll say is that it wasn't as bad as I'm thinking. Listen, I watched the game. We all did, obviously, and so you can tell what was going on. And one of the things I noticed, yes, on the right side was worse than the left. But the other thing here is, I think, Matt always says scheming fixes everything, and I'm going to steal this away from him, because in this situation, he's right. Because what happened here is we had free rushers. So on 6 dropbacks, 5 of them had free rushers. If we had 2 tight ends and you had inline blocking, you actually would have those rushers be stopped. But what happened is, even though all the linemen were blocking their dudes, they got a free rusher because of the blitz. And so the only way you can stop that really is with a tight end. And so if you have if you use a 2 tight end system there, you can actually block those rushers, and then you can now you can focus and actually get a pass off on the blitz instead of just getting sacked all the time. So, again, Matt, you're right that like scheming does fix everything. In this case, it would have fixed the issues with the blitz. 5 out of 6 of blitz. What the hell do you want CJ to do? The O-line actually did their job for the most part on their blocks. But what are you going to do with the free rusher? He's coming. The only thing CJ can do is run for his life. That's number one. Number 2, Tank Dell was not used nearly as much as anyone thought that he should be. He was taken in the 3rd round. And so I think that when you take a dude that early, you need to play them, especially with the lack of talent we have. We really only have, in my opinion, 2 explosive players. That's Dameon Pierce and Tank Dell. And we use both of them very little. Dameon Pierce only got 11 carries for 38 yards. Tank Dell only got 2 catches, if I remember correctly, right? So I think they have to use Tank Dell. I think that Noah Brown got way too much work, and he was not good at run blocking. He was dropping passes. You don't use Noah Brown on screens. He's not the explosive guy. Use Tank Dell. Now, Noah Brown, obviously, I didn't want anyone to get hurt, but I did say that I wanted Tank Dell to take those screen passes, and I think that's going to happen against the Colts here. Schultz was only targeted 4 times. Now, of course, he is limited right now, so that's another injury concern. But he was only targeted 4 times. We talked about this for how long, saying that Schultz should be one of the most targeted, not just tight ends, but from a receiving perspective, right? 4 times, like especially on the blitz and stuff. I don't understand that. That has to be fixed. Now, as far as the run defense, we only let 110 yards. There were games where we let up 300 yards. That's a significant improvement. We were rated 23rd in the league this week 1 in terms of rush defense. Hell yeah. By the way, we were ranked 21 on offensive line. So, we weren't like bottom. We were pretty close to, basically bottom 10, but much better than people expected with the 5 injuries that we had on the O-line, frankly. Way better than we expected. one of the things I think that needs to be fixed on, actually, Jay, who's a commenter here, Jay Williams, who's also the moderate Texan, follow him if you haven't. He does good film reviews. And one of the things that I asked him, I said, why was our goal line stance so poor? Because we failed at the goal line stance, right? Stingley gave up a touchdown. Christian Harris got run over by Hill. That's something that we have to perfect as well. CJ overall performed well. He was at 8. He passed more than anyone else in the division. He beat Trevor Lawrence by a yard. From a passing perspective, at 242 yards. But what he has to do is he has to get the ball in the hands of playmakers, and that means Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz for the blitzes. But he has to get his hands. He's got to get the ball into Tank Dell's hands. He has to, and you probably have to involve Damian Pierce more in the passing game because Pierce can get yards after contact.
Mm-hmm. Barry, anything rebuttal or anything you'd like to say?
I think the only thing when you brought up the Tank Dell, which you'd like to see Tank Dell more involved, but you got to remember too, this is a rookie going up against veteran corners with the Ravens, and a lot of times he may not be winning his matchup. I mean, he was targeted 4 times. But to see Robert Woods kind of emerge, and a guy that a lot of people wrote off, but he got 10 targets, 6 catches. I mean, these are guys though that have been in this league, even with Nico Collins, he still has some professional experience. So they're more often than not, especially early, especially in week 1, those guys you probably feel more comfortable with, and they're winning their matchups. And for me, a guy like Tank Dell, I'm using that guy as a decoy. I'm using that guy to take the lid off the defense, run me some go routes, run me some 9 routes, and then that opens it up for Collins and Woods across the middle, or the other routes on the route tree that you can get them to. So that's possible. I don't do film study. That's not my thing, but I just feel like maybe, it's not necessarily that they didn't want to get Tank Dell involved. He's obviously part of the scheming and the reads, but he just may not have been winning his matchups.
Okay.
I mean, one of the things that we were talking about in our Texans chat is you give him some quick slants and you have the dude right there, especially because of how much they were blitzing, right? Like you use some quick slants and that's how you use Tank Dell, and then he's a yak guy. So then you have the possibility after you give him that quick slant to take it home. But we didn't do that. And so we lost the ability to have that explosive offense. So and I think that he, in that situation, could have won those matches. Look at Zay Flowers. What did Zay Flowers do? They didn't use him as a deep threat at all. He just used his athleticism to beat dudes. And I think that's what Tank Dell would do.
Okay. Crenshaw, what's your take on the injuries and whatnot?
On those rushing touchdowns, was the defense even set? Do you guys remember? Were they even set when Ravens scored those touchdowns?
I know what you're talking about. Like on that one of them where the Christian Harris just got rolled over, they were not ready. Like, or at least Harris wasn't ready because you saw him. He was right there in the gap, and then you moved over because you saw where Hill was, and he just trucked him over. And so on that one, he definitely wasn't ready.
Yeah, that's something they need to work on. I wanted Tank and I wanted Pierce to have more touches. But maybe it was a good thing. Look, all the injuries we had. I mean, they'd have more touches. They could have been on the injury list this weekend. We really would have been freaking out. So maybe it's good that they bring them on slowly,
Right.
But the injuries are a concern. But Loans is number 7 is back there. Coldridge. I'm happy because I want him to get the most reps out of anybody this season. But the injury is going to happen. It's the NFL.
The year you get the injury bug, it's this year, right? Like as long as it's not the rookies or somebody.
Yeah. I mean, just hopefully, Bobby learned from this as well because some of his play calling was really suspect. A lot of his play calling was suspect. Hopefully, he learned from this and he does better this week. We got some home cooking, because that play calling was really, really crazy. That Noah Brown shit was retarded to me, man.
Well, all right. Well, let's move on to these the Texans versus the Colts.
Ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 stick. You can get high with me. That's a deal, right? Ride with me if you're.
Well, we know we don't have you for very much longer, Barry. So we'll kind of try to speed it up. What is your take against the Colts and the Texans? What do we need us to do to win this game?
Well, first of all, I'm kind of excited about the game because now it's week 2, although, more injuries, tons of guys are questionable, but it's not often you get to see 2 draft picks this high with Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud going at it in week 2. So that'll be kind of cool. Stroud, he had his moments, although they never entered the red zone last week. But Anthony Richardson looked good, rushed for a touchdown, made a couple of mistakes as a rookie quarterback, and that's going to happen. I don't even think CJ Stroud had a chance to make a rookie mistake, honestly. He was just running for his life the entire time. But hopefully they clean some of that up. They figure some of that out. They know how to scheme better now, knowing what their deficiencies are at the O-line or whatever. But you're talking about 2 of the worst teams in football last year, and everybody's got hope because it's only week 2. And I think it's going to be an ugly, boring, low-scoring game. But if I could just walk away not feeling worse than I did last week or having that icky feeling like I did in seasons past, that's a win to me. And look, we can get into all of the who's winning their one-on-one matchups. And in week 2, quite honestly, to me, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. The play calling matters. And that's the stuff that guys like us talk about. All I really want to see from the Houston Texans is a small progress, incremental progress, right? Like CJ Stroud, instead of taking a sack, throwing the ball away on 4th down. You know what I mean? Just little bitty things. Maybe Stingley doesn't get beat deep every single time. And maybe somebody in the secondary turns their head around to find the ball instead of getting a questionable PI. But nonetheless, you turn around and find the ball. That's not a PI, and that hurt them too. So little things like that is all I care about seeing in week 2 against the Colts.
Or like when we convert on 3rd down, the offensive line doesn't get called for a holding play.
Or maybe when it's 4th and short, you don't run a pass play, and when it's 4th and 2, then you run the ball. Like that might be good too. I don't know.
Right. I completely agree with you. Well, Vegas got the Colts -1 to win this game. What's your take on it? I don't know if you do predictions or not, but what do you?
You know what? I have like a spreadsheet that I do. It's actually been pretty successful. I started it back when I was on The Usual Suspects with Joel Blank, my old co-host on ESPN 975. And I kind of did it as a joke because I'm a nerd when it comes to numbers and stuff like that. But I developed my own formula. But I usually don't start using spreads and lines until about week 5. And the reason is just what I mentioned earlier. You really don't know who these teams are. We don't know what this offense is. We don't know what the Colts offense is. And same thing on the defensive side of the ball. So the one, though, probably makes sense. I don't know if that's enough. I think that the Colts maybe should be favored by a little bit more. But I think Vegas at least is telling you they respect the Texans defense. And that's one of those little signs that's good. Because last year that number might have been 4.5. So, it's weird. ESPN on their matchup predictor actually has the Texans as the favorite with a 52% chance of winning the game. Yet they're a 1-point dog at home in their home opener. I would probably, if I'm wagering, I'd probably take the point. It's 2 bad teams. I honestly don't bet on this game, but if you're asking me, sure, why not? Give me the point in the Texans. That's cool.
All right. Well, VT, what do you got? How do we win this game?
Yeah, so first of all, I do think that we will win this game. I obviously didn't say that last week because I thought that with the injuries and obviously having the Ravens a hard defense, that it was going to be a tough matchup. But I do think that we win this game, and one of the reasons why is because I think there's already tendencies being shown by AR. We're actually going to have an episode with the Horseshoe Mob where I'm actually going to show actual charts on this. We don't have them today, but we'll show them on Horseshoe Mob. So follow us on Twitter and on YouTube and all that stuff so you can find out when that happens. What you'll notice is that AR throws almost every single completed pass that he threw was to the right. Only like 1 or 2 passes was to the left. So what happens is that's a tendency. So you're going to put Sting on Michael Pittman, and Stingley was pretty good last week, so he should be able to lock down Michael Pittman for a lot. The issue I have is what's going to happen with all the underneath stuff. Who are we going to be? Will we be able to stop those 5, 6, 7 yard throws? That's my concern. My concern there isn't necessarily the deep threat. I think that with the corners that we have, even if Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward are out, I think the issue really is the underneath stuff with them, and obviously his athleticism. Now, with Lamar Jackson.
Well, real quick to your point, you make a good point because last week, Anthony Richardson, I think I saw most of his throws were like around. I think he averaged 3.5 yards. A lot of his completion and was yards after the catch. Well, a lot of his passing yards were yards after the catch. So I don't think that they opened up the offense, which they don't. That doesn't mean they showed much either. But to your point, yeah, I think you can expect a pretty healthy dose of that again from a rookie quarterback.
I mean, so he had the biggest catch, you could say, at 29 yards, but it was a throw that was at the line of scrimmage, and Michael Pittman took that, right? So, like I said, if we can stop the underneath plays, the underneath throws, then we have a good chance of stopping the passing game. Now, in terms of stopping him at the run, when we put a spy in him, we were able to do that to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is obviously a former MVP, and we kept him to only 38 yards on the ground. So now the thing, obviously, Anthony Richardson is 250 freaking pounds. So the thing is, he's a tank. He's a real tank. Compared to Lamar Jackson. So that would be my concern, is really just stopping him and his athleticism. But I don't think that he's not a passing threat yet. I think that he's already showing tendencies. He's throwing short. If we stop him from running, we can win this game, even with all the freaking injuries that we have right now. We have a ton that we can still win this game. My prediction is that it is a close game, but I think it's like a 17-14 game. 17 Texans. And all the TDs from the Colts will be rushing TDs, not passing TDs.
Okay. Crenshaw.
Man, we can't get one passing TD. I got Michael Pittman on fantasy. But anyways,
that's all we really care about, honestly, right? That's it.
That's it. That's all we care about. I agree with you, VT. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think they're going to come out, real sluggish. I think gonna get a couple boos up in there because NRG is good for booing. But I think CJ is gonna have a better performance. I'm looking at 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns this game right here.
Oh, wow.
I hope the secondary continue what they did from week 1. I don't think the Colts are really that good, but who knows? Because stranger things has happened. But I think we win this game 1-1 after 2 weeks.
Right.
I love cocky Texans fans. Love it.
Let's go.
Love.
That's what I'm talking about, Crenshaw.
Then you're gonna love this one. I too got the Texans winning. I got it 10-3. I see.
Damn. That's the whole 10-3.
10-3. This is a low-scoring game.
I'm not watching now. I don't even want to see that mess. 10-3.
I win the win.
Hey, I'm gonna leave early that game then.
That's you know what I call that on Sundays? That's my nap game. That's what that is. I'm gonna be taking that nap during this game. Damn, 10-3.
Hey, look, both are rookies. They're gonna make some rookie mistakes. So I think it's gonna be a tough a defensive battle. I think they get Dameon Pierce more involved. So I do see CJ Stroud getting his first throwing touchdown, but I see Dameon Pierce getting about 80-90 yards. Hopefully more than 13 carries this game.
Who gets the one touchdown?
I'm going to say it is Tank Dell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Rookie to rookie.
All right.
And I'm going to say it's a screen.
Okay.
All right.
So
10-3.
Look, I'm telling you, it is what it is. It's rookies. It's never really an exciting game when they play each other. So, Barry, again, man, thanks for coming on the show. It's been a blast. Why don't you tell all of our listeners where we can find you, what you got cooking, so that way they can check you out.
Yeah, man. You can find me online if you are into comedy. I'm a stand-up comic as well as a sports journalist. So if you're into laughing and stuff, follow me on Twitter or any of the social media apps at Barry is Funny. Also, my sports talk show when I got laid off from ESPN back during COVID. A lot of my fans, which I see some of them in the chat. What's up, Alex Villanueva? What's up, Jamal? Who else showed up? I saw a couple more in there. Yeah, follow me at Barry on Deck on social media, and I stream live now. I've been doing the show for over 3 years. I started May of 2020. I started doing my own show. Started on YouTube. Now I'm on Twitch. So check me out 2 to 5 p.m. on Twitch at Barry on Deck. Come hang out. It's a good time. I curse a lot, so don't bring your headphones or earphones if you're at work. But
hey, if you ain't cursing, you ain't having fun, right?
True that
Right.
for sure.
Right. All right, BT, where can we find you at?
You can find me at Brown Chubby Bear. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Threads. I'm on Facebook. Find me. I'm sure that we'll argue, but if you're a Texans fan, we'll love each other at the end of the day. You can find any articles that I have at fanbattlesports.com. In fact, actually, Matt wrote a real nice one last week. If you don't think that what we saw was positive, you have to give Matt's last article that he wrote on fanbattlesports.com a read. Really, really great shit. So hey, my first word of the day. I actually tried to keep it clean. Didn't happen.
I hope that wasn't for me. Oh my God! Please tell me you did not cuss for me, because I got so bad that the people who watch my show were like, "We need a swear jar. This is out of control. You way too much."
Crenshaw, what about you, brother?
You can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere. And Barry, I got a quick question.
Sure.
Did you really lose your virginity in Thailand?
No, that's just a bit. Come on.
Okay.
It's just a joke I wrote. No, I lost it at church. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. That's a joke. No.
Okay. I was about to ask
I waited until I was married.
I was about to ask you, was it kind of like off of a Hangover 2?
You gotta go watch the jokes. You gotta go check it out.
Oh man, some good stuff. Guys, you can find me at A1 Day One Texans everywhere. Monday nights, you can find me on the AFC South Fan Battle. And like BT said, Saturday at 6:30 Central, we are having a Horseshoe Mob versus Texans fan battle. So make sure you check us out, so that way we can clown all those Colts fans.
Is that the name of they're called the Horseshoe Mob?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a stupid name for a group of fans. Man, somebody patch me in so I can roast these morons. What a dumbass name.
You are more welcome to come on. We'll send you
what a dumbass name. Wait, the Horseshoe Mob. Oh, cool. We're the tennis shoe gang. We're the what? We're the saddle club. Oh my God, you morons. Like, what are you doing? Okay.
Oh man. Barry, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on. And guys, we'll see you either Saturday or next week. Have a good Sunday. We'll talk to you then.
Go Texans.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for